Hi, we're back at it again, making our fighter kite. This is Bruce at fighterkitecentral.com, and we're going to start where we left off. One of the things about the fighter kites is that they often land on their corners, so it's good to protect the corner. And what we're going to do is take a piece of tape about 1 inch or 1.25 inches long, and we're going to place it so that half of the tape is on the back of the kite. We're going to roll the edge over, and then we're going to press the tape on the top of the bow and fold it over on both sides. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Now this is a very simple but effective way to minimize damage to the kite while you're flying it. We'll do the same thing. We'll have about half of the tape on the back side, and we're going to fold it over to the front side of the skin on that part, and then we will then push on the corner of it here and make it touch the bow and fold it over on both sides, and we have a protected corner there. The other thing we need to do is to tape, put a piece of protective tape on the tail. I just got a piece of tape about 1.5 inches long, and I use my thumb and put the tape on both sides of the spine and on the back side of the kite skin, and then I just fold the tape over around to the front side of the kite. That helps to protect that. And then we need to protect the nose, and that can be done a lot of ways. One way is to put a piece of tape across the front of the nose. Again, I use my fingernail to kind of push the tape into the corner that the spine makes, and then I wrap that tape around to the front side of the kite. This is a simple way to do it, but quite effective. The other thing we need to do, which I've already done this, I've already made the bridle holes and put the upper bridle loop on the kite. And what I did was to put a piece of tape. Well, first I measured both sides of the center of the spine and marked 1.25 inch mark on each side. And I also marked the bow itself at 1.25 inches with my silver marking pen. Then I covered those marks that I put on the back of the kite skin with a piece of Scotch tape. And then I used my soldering iron. I use a battery operated portable one, but any pencil type soldering iron, or even a nail held in a pair of pliers and heated over the stove so it's hot enough to melt whatever it is you're using for a skin. Or if you're using paper, you can just cut it. But just poke a hole using the heat to melt both the tape and the skin. And then I did the same at the point where the lower bridle will connect, which is 5 inches up from the tail. I made a mark, put a piece of Scotch tape there, and then I used the soldering iron to melt 2 small holes, one on each side of the spine. And then I cut a piece of bridle line about 1 foot long, and I tied one end onto the bow using two half hitches, just a simple knot. And then I stretched it up to the nose. I didn't want it to quite touch the nose, which this doesn't, and definitely don't want it to go over the nose, because in flight it'll get tangled up for sure. And then tied two half hitches on the other side onto the bow. Then I used my super glue and a toothpick, and I put a little super glue on the toothpick and rubbed the toothpick right on top of the mark I made on the bow itself, on top of the bridle that I just tied. And that super glue will hold it, and the knot doesn't have to carry all of the load. The next part of the bridle we're going to do is the main part of what I call the main line or lower bridle line. I just take a piece of bridle line, it's maybe 24 inches long or so, and fold over on one end. So you got a loop that's about 2.5 inches long, and then tie a knot to create a loop. I use a figure 8 knot, but an overhand knot will work. Any knot that'll hold it will be fine. Tie it, and then I trim off the tail a little bit so it looks about like this. And we want to use a lark's head knot to attach this to the upper bridle loop that we just made, or yoke. And the way we do that is quite simple. We just place the loop we made on this bridle under the yoke, and then pull the knotted end of the loop we made and the whole line through that, and it attaches itself. We want to pull it so that it's right in line with the spine. Hold this, and then if you want to lock that knot, that lark's head knot is a lockable knot and adjustable, so we can just spread it apart here and it'll lock onto this and not be movable. And if we want to move it, we simply pull the upper bridle loop tight and it unlocks the knot, and we can move the knot on either side. Once we get it centered, then we lock it, then it doesn't move unless you unlock it. So we'll lock it, pull it tight, and now we're going to use the other end, and we're going to put it through one of the holes on one side of the spine, wrap it around the back side of the spine, oh man, it's a little harder than I thought. Okay, back side of the spine, and then back through the opposite hole on the other side of the spine, and out the front again. And here what we want to do is to pull this tight enough so that the line comes near the wingtip but does not extend beyond the wingtip. For the same reason, you don't want that bridle to catch and snag on the wingtip while you're flying it. And I cut off so I have enough to work with, and then I make a half hitch, sort of like that, and do another one, 2 half hitches, and then I use the toothpick and my super glue, and I do the same thing to secure this. I put a drop of super glue on the toothpick and rub that toothpick over the line that's on the spine to bond that to the spine right there. Then I trim off the tail so it's not quite so long.